Oi, 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 oi. Amazing, amazing. Wow, Look at this. Hello, front row. Hello, back row. And mid row. Amazing. Oy, oy, oy. I knew we were a lot of people, but this is so beautiful. Folks, welcome to the Menti Listen Show live from Manchester, UK Special Higher Education Edition. This is so great. My name is Oscar Svernlov. I am very proud and excited to be here hosting. Oh, let's go back. You might wonder, what is a Swedish company like Mentimeter doing all the way over in the UK? Well, this is a special show because the Stockholm office, almost the entire Stockholm office, is on relocation in Manchester. And this is a crazy thing we do at Mentimeter every year. We take the entire office, we move it to another city. This time we're in Manchester. And I just want to check in with the Menti peeps. We're 2 weeks in. How has it been so far? Pretty good, I hear. A bit quiet over on that side, but most of you seem to enjoy Manchester. But we're not only the Menti peeps in the room here, we also have a bunch of colleagues in Stockholm watching us live. Hello, välkomna. And the Toronto peeps are actually in the air right now. Toronto, if you have Wi-Fi on the plane, good to see you. Otherwise, we'll see you when you land. They're actually flying home from their relocation. And we also have our Sydney peeps. Hello, or good evening, good morning, depending on when you see this. But we're not alone here. This is a special show for a completely different reason, and that is that we're opening this up to the world. That's right. This is our public show edition. So we've invited the whole world on Livestorm to come watch how we do a all hands meeting at Menti. And we also have some VIP guests. I think they're mixed in with the Menti crowd here. VIP guests, could you raise your hand so I could just see? Okay, one person is here. 2, 3. Okay, good, good. Yeah, let's give him a hand. Let's give him a hand. And another reason this is special is because this is the higher education episode. So we're going to focus on the aspects of Menti that relate with higher education. Today's agenda, by the way, QR code here, online people. Let me just check if we're online as well. I think we should be. Oh, wonderful. Oh, we have almost 500 people online as well. Amazing. Welcome online people. Today's agenda, we're going to get a live interview with Dr. Martin Compton. I just saw him here. Where is he? There he is, right there. We're going to hear about his experience with Menti. We are going to get a Menti AI update. I know a lot of Menti peeps have been waiting. You know, what's going on with the AI stuff? You're going to hear about that today. We're also going to get a learning about learning session. Lisa, are you here? Yes, you are. And we also are going to get a Power of Togetherness session. I know it's getting more and more mystical here. Hold out, you'll see what that's all about. And as we all know, we're going to do a Q&A with the speakers. So if you have any questions already now to any of our speakers, it's time to disturb us, all right? So get your questions in, get those comments, reactions. Finally, we have a little bonus session today, which is a feature sneak peek with our CPO, Jakob, and Jonny from Mentimeter. I know there's a lot of discussion whether Jonny is real or is he like an AI, like he sends a lot of emails, right? But stick around and you might see if Jonny is real or not. Let's dive into the icebreakers. So who is here today? I'm going to bring up the QR code again. And interesting here, you might be an educator, you might work at Menti, or you have a business role. You might be an educator at a company, and then obviously you're an educator, or you might work at a university, but not as an educator. Then you're in a business role. Look at this split here. Is it a 50, a 30? Oh my, this is like, this feels almost made up. Look at it, 33, okay, almost. Let's let this cook for some time. How's the remote peeps do, or the online peeps? Yeah, that's good. Nice. Okay, it looks like we have almost a perfect split. A few less educators at this higher education episode. No worries. I heard somebody in the audience say sorry. That's okay. We're happy to have you here anyway. Nice. Very beautiful split. Let's do another question. And this time, I would like to know if we have a reason why you joined. So was it to improve your teaching? Was it to learn about new features? Look, the Menti peeps just boom instantly. They're just, I work here, okay? Like, I'm not here to learn anything. I just work here, okay? Like, are we done soon? No. We have something for you, Menti peeps. This is our internal show, so it's obviously for us. Okay, new features is a hard one. Let me just double check here. I'm going to enable little segmentation just to see. Okay, the Menti peeps are here because they have to. That's great. Learn about new features seems to be the big one for the business role. And of course, this makes sense, right? The educators are here to get some tips on improving teaching. Wonderful. Thank you so much for this. Keep your phones ready or devices ready. There's going to be plenty more interaction. I am going to welcome our first speaker. Please give it up for the live interview with Max Wester. Hello. How are you? Can we get a mic check? Hello, hello. I haven't seen you in 5 minutes.
I know, it's been so long.
Good to see you. Max, how is Manchester for you so far?
It's been great. I used to live here for about 6 months, so it's been fun to come back and visit my old roots.
Okay, that's so cool. You're not here to, well, first we should introduce you. Who do we have on stage here?
So I am Max. I use they, them pronouns, and I am the user research manager for Mentimeter. So what I do is I end up talking to a lot of our users and try and find ways to help improve our product, identify what you need, and also learn from what are the future things that we should be building and understanding what those needs are that maybe you don't quite know that you need yet. Yeah.
And your favorite feature is ranking.
I love the ranking slide. If you haven't tried it out, our team has worked really hard to improve it, so it's super accessible. Props to the Design Foundation team. But it is one of our,
We'll be seeing, I think we have some ranking
I think
in
we have some ranking in there. But yeah, it's a nice slide.
Nice. But we're not here to talk about ranking. We're here to interview somebody. Who is that, Max?
We are here to interview Martin. Do you want to come on up, Martin?
Let's give him a hand.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
The last time we tried to chat, you were hidden behind a camera screen that wasn't working. So it's nice to see you that you actually exist.
I exist. I'm not AI. I'm not a bot. I'm real.
Yeah, you are full real. Yeah.
But I am being fed information.
Oh, amazing. Even better. I wish I was. So welcome to our live show. We are so happy that you've traveled all the way up from London to come and attend this. And I know you were just in the panel discussion as well about AI. But before we jump in, do you want to tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Okay, well, nice to see you all, and not to see the people that are also watching in. I'm Martin Compton. I work at King's College London, which is a research-intensive university, very traditional, quite old school. So often finding your way into innovation can be quite a challenge, but we seem to have turned that corner, and I'm really pleased to be working on AI and other innovative projects in terms of teaching and learning. My background originally, my first degree was in history, but all subsequent degrees, including my doctorate, have all been education focused. And so really, even though history is kind of my discipline, really it's education, and also any opportunity to fiddle around with technology and find ways to make things more interesting, more exciting, more energizing, easier, or just different is kind of what I like doing as part of my job.
Amazing. And you have been using Mentimeter for how many years again?
I worked out earlier that I've been using it for 10 years this year.
Wow. what we call a very early adopter.
Yeah. An old user, I think is right.
A very old user. So you've seen us through our many different phases of what we've done and what we've become. And what out of all of our features, it says scales is one of your favorites, but why do you love the scale slide so much?
So the thing about the scale slide is, first of all, is Gerhard, my colleague from Greenwich, where we used to work together. One of the problems is the first 3 questions in Mentimeter open text.
Yep.
You give young people the opportunity to have open text, and some of them get a little bit carried away. So, it can be inappropriate or whatever, and they might think it's fun, but, it causes us problems. So one of the things that I will try and encourage my colleagues to do is look at the options for closed question types. Mm-hmm. And what's not to love about scales, you can have 5 or 6 opinions on a single slide. That one slide can be your entire lesson. There's so much potential in that one slide, like this one here. Yeah.
Yep. I believe this is one of your example slides that you sent us. Can you tell us about what you've used the scales for in the past?
So this is one that I used just a couple of days ago, actually. So asking academic colleagues whether they've read our guidance, getting people to realize that if they haven't done the thing that they were supposed to have done, that perhaps they're not alone, but giving them a nudge, a boost towards it. So that first one is an example of a behavior change question. So that's one example. The second one is also about pitching yourself in the context of others, but anonymously. No one in an academic setting is going to say, I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. I don't really know, because we're all so precious about our intellect and what have you. But if you can do it anonymously, then you can actually see where you are. And you often get a really nice standard deviation on that question. And then the third one is an example about an opinion question where you can see where you stand in terms of a different perspective on something. And then the last one is, again, another opinion question. And that is where you can really start having debates or discussions, and to illustrate that in any space, there's going to be diversity. And you don't have to agree with the charismatic student on the front row who always says their bit first. Actually, it's okay to be part of a wider, more diverse perspective.
So I think that's one of the things that is definitely a skill that people have to learn, is that Mentimeter isn't just you pull up a quiz or a word cloud or any of these things, scale slide. You actually create a conversation around this. And so how do you're obviously using anonymity to have students vote, but then how do you actually get people to engage in that conversation so it's not just everyone's staring at a screen?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, a couple of things that you have to tell people in academic settings is, if you're going to use an interaction, think carefully about why, which you just said. Think about how you're going to use it, and think about limiting it and then using it to leverage the kinds of conversations you want to have. So you can see all of the emojis, the thumbs up, thumbs down. That's minimal level interaction. So you could have a content slide with a thumbs up, thumbs down, and that starts a conversation. In this situation, if you were my colleagues at work and we were talking about this, I would say something like, okay, someone from down this side of the room, you don't have to tell me what you said on here, but can you suggest why so many people might have said this? And bring in a section of the room. And likewise, move around the room and start a discussion like that. So it's leveraging the kind of interaction that we really want. It's particularly in large room teaching as well.
And what, I know that you have brought Mentimeter to all of the universities that you've worked at so far.
To Greenwich,
Greenwich, yes.
To UCL, I helped facilitate it at UCL, and we're working on it at King's.
Okay. And when because you are such a champion of it, I've interviewed teachers and they're like, it's so hard to bring in Mentimeter because I already have all my digital content in PowerPoint or Google Slides. So how do you get teachers to actually start using it? Because obviously your universities aren't going to pay for it if people aren't using it. So how do you help with bringing in that adoption?
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge because you have to work with what people put in front of you. So there are workarounds. So you can insert slides as PDFs into a new presentation. You can work by integrating the Mentimeter into existing presentations. But the thing that I think is not actually very well solved by Mentimeter is that it's a brilliant slide deck creator of its own right. and if it didn't have any interactive potential in it as well, it would still be a good slide deck. It's accessible. It limits the amount of text you can put on there. It minimizes the amount of messing up of slides that people do. You know, some of the PowerPoints you see, some of the color contrast, some of the amounts of text that people put in. You know, it's really hard to mess up a Mentimeter slide in that one.
I agree.
So, yeah.
And when we start thinking about AI, so I know that you were just in that AI before. How do you see that AI could be helping students and that Mentimeter could be helping with using AI and helping education?
I mean, I think in terms of the way that AI works and the ways that people are using it at the moment, that's one conversation. If we're talking about ways in which it might be integrated, I think that what we have to be careful of is not falling into the trap that a lot of ed tech companies fall into, which is to create a shiny novelty product. So the BET show, big ed tech show in London in January, I was walking around all the stalls there, and half the time my brain was thinking novelty, 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 novelty. But the reason they get business is because people were like buying shiny things. We're magpies and we collect these things. But then we soon realize that they're just going to sit in a cupboard, either an actual cupboard or a metaphorical cupboard where nobody uses them. Like, you know, the clickers of old. You know, nobody used those because you had to get a box and you had to sign it out.
Yeah.
But when Mentimeter came along, it wasn't a shiny product. It was a product that had utility.
Yep.
And it's got corporate utility, it's got academic utility, it's got synchronous and asynchronous utility, and that's great. So if I was to give any advice to Mentimeter, not that it's necessarily my place,
We want all the advice. Give it to us.
I would say don't put AI in for the sake of it. Know exactly what it is that you want from that. And I would imagine something like analysis of text, deeper level comparison. We saw Oscar do the segmentation, maybe extending on the analytical aspect, but in terms of the tool itself, it might be that you could bring in chatbot functionality, but do you need to do that when it's elsewhere? Yep. Because Mentimeter does what it does very well. So, yeah.
And what would you want to see? You've obviously been with us for 10 years, which is very long. What do you miss the most, or what do you want us to build? What is that thing that you're seeking after the most?
I don't think I necessarily want anything. I mean, when I was first using it, I was one of the really annoying, loudest voices saying you need active hyperlinks in there. And when you put active hyperlinks in there, I was one of the loudest voices saying you need to embed video in there. You know, and these, developers are brilliant. They put this stuff in. It works really well. It's seamless. It's great. Sometimes I think, could you improve this, that, or the other? So, for example, the voter link and the presentation link was not quite intuitive in the past, and it's been fixed. And now the synchronous, asynchronous survey or presentation, that's in your face. You don't have to search for it. Again, that user experience is much improved. I'm sure you will come up with things and I'll think, oh yeah, I wish I'd thought of that. But at the moment, you don't have to fiddle around the edges when you've got something that works really well.
Amazing. Oscar, do we have any questions from the audience that have come in so far?
I think we have a few. Harini, do you want to pull one up for Martin, maybe? Martin, you've also asked the people a question. I want to see the answers later, but we can start with this one.
All right, so Martin, do you find closed questions are better for promoting discussion than open-ended because of the limitation?
Yeah, I think they're absolutely fine. And it's dependent on how you frame it and how you pitch it and then how you respond to it. But I think that there is so much that can be unexpected, particularly year one undergraduates with open questions, word clouds, whatever, danger of people trying to find a way around the profanity filter and all of that sort of level of anxiety and the ways in which you might have to manage that, screen off, all of those kinds of things, just add a layer of concern that it's not there if you've got a closed question. So the first thing is about your own comfort and ability to manage a conversation. But in terms of promoting discussion, I think if you ask the right question or use the right template, then yeah, absolutely, it's easier because you're not having to process those open text responses and respond to them live. Given a scenario where I would have open text, I would prefer to do that asynchronously prior to a session, have an opportunity to look through it and properly think about it, filter out the things that might not be appropriate, and then really focus on it, offering it back to the students once closed, because then I've had more time to process. But in a live session, I think yes is my short answer to that.
And if we wanted to make the open-ended questions available to, what would you tell teachers, or what would we need to build to make those open-ended questions something that teachers can actually use and get the power of Menti from?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to, again, ask yourself, what is it that you want to do with these things? And if you're encouraging people to use open-ended questions, free text, that kind of thing, then what do you do with that data afterwards? And I think that we don't tend to use it very well. We use it in the moment, we capture a few things, we respond to them, then what? So that's why I think there might be that opportunity to do a bit of small-scale AI-supported thematic analysis or something.
Amazing. Do we have time for one more question?
I think we have one more question. I could listen to this all day, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think, Hedin, if you have one more, yes, here.
All right, Martin, you've discussed the value that you get out of Mentimeter, but what type of pushback do you get from your peers?
Oh, I get pushback on everything. Not least my support for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and dangerous to say in Manchester, I know. So, yeah, we do get pushback because people are concerned that we're trying to encourage them to use things as a sort of mandate. Absolutely no mandate. Use it if you want. What we want to do is for people to use it because they see the benefit. And when you get beyond that, then there's little pushback. But if people are pushing back, it's because they're overworked. Many of them feel like they're underpaid. They probably are. And, should they be learning new technologies when they've got so much research and so much teaching to do? I hear that. I totally get that. But actually, I think this is one way where we can really, really help support teachers. So, for example, you come into a lecture, you've got 200 students in front of you, you're really nervous about getting it right, you're thinking about what you're going to teach, rather than launching straight into, do what Oscar did, put a question out, get people engaged, get people to contribute, get buy-in, take control of the devices. All of these are good things to do in terms of teaching and learning. A Mentimeter is a technology that will enable you to do that. So why not do it?
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Wow, what an ending. Thank you, Martin, again. So nice. And Max, too. Let's give them a big hand, both of them. Wow. And just to be clear, Martin has not been paid to be here. We got that question last time. He's a fan, and we're really happy to see this. We have some feelings about AI. That's very good timing, because the next section is about Menti and AI. Please help me welcome to the stage, Steph and Jakob!
All right. Hello, everyone in the room and everyone joining remotely. My name is Jacob. I'm Chief Product Officer, and with me I have Stephanie, which is one of our product managers currently working with AI, and we both love building great products. That's what we're going to talk about. First question to you. To what extent do you use AI in your daily work? Is it like ChatGPT or Copilot? Is it never? Tried it a few times, but didn't really stick. I use it multiple times per year, use it multiple times per day, or my life depends on it.
I wonder if I know who answered my life depends on it. I think I
Within business, I would say it's almost the opposite. Cool, interesting. Because we've been working a lot with AI at Menti, and we launched our first Menti AI feature last year. It's called AI grouping. It's amazing. It works really well and people love it. If you haven't tried it, you may want to stick around for the last part of this because might be demoing it. And like since we started working on it, AI has of course exploded. It's everywhere. It's always this like huge focus on being really efficient with AI. It's always like, hey GPT, here's a few bullet points, write me a fancy email. And then someone at the receiving end is like, oh, that's a fancy email. Hey GPT, can you summarize this in a few bullets? And all of a sudden you kind of removed all the human interaction from it. But in general, AIs of today are really good at generating content and summarizing content. It's almost like become free of charge. So that's what we tried first as well. We built our own content generator for Mentimeter. You've tried it internally. We also tried it with customers. It's pretty good. I mean, AI is good at generating content. It saves you a lot of time. You don't have to write the actual content. But the thing is, what you notice is that Menti is not really about the content. It's about the interaction and about the human interaction. And even though you might save some time on like writing the actual content for your Menti, it didn't help you become a better Mentimeter user. So what did we learn when we tried it out? And what will happen now? That's for Steph to explain.
Yeah, and I never thought that I was going to be here excited to tell you that we canceled a product launch, but here I am excited to tell you that we canceled a product launch. And I'm here to talk also about this tiny little button that we did, a tiny feature that I think most of you here have tried out. So if we backtrack to what Jacob said, we had a first version that was out for our users. Thank you. We had a first version that was out for our users, and we managed to learn a lot from over thousands of user prompts and gather crucial user feedback. At the same time, the two teams working on this, kudos to use team and AI team over there. Also, yeah, please. Hi. These two teams also made an incredible journey and also learned more and elevated. And that's when we decided that we can do more and we want to do more. And that's the back reason why we have canceled this launch. So I'm here to talk about the new AI Menti Builder. And it looks pretty much like this. So the purpose of the AI Menti Builder is to help our users to create content, or not content, but actually a draft of a Menti more efficiently and quickly. So this is to help with productivity and efficiency, just like many other AI products. But for you who have tried this, it looks quite similar to the old version. So what are actually the differences here? There are three major improvements that we've done. So first of all, we now added prompt suggestions. So this is to help our users to kickstart their prompting journey at Mentimeter. So never get that blank canvas paralysis of not knowing what to write or how to get started. Actually, we want to lower the barrier of just trying something out. We also want to showcase the different use cases that you can have at Mentimeter. Secondly, we also have an iterative model of trying to understand the user intent better. In this case, the user has prompted improved ways of working. So we feel that we need a little bit more information to create a better draft. So in this case, we have a follow-up question to dig deeper into the user's purpose. I think this is a really big shift on how we actually help our users to create better mentees and better engaging interactions. Last but not least, and I think that this is, the really cool part here that Jacob also mentioned, the big distinction of not just having ChatGPT to create content for you, is that this time around we have built in our in-house knowledge on how to actually create engaging and interactive mentees. Or we just say content because we believe all content should be interactive in some kind of way. So our users actually don't need to read up on our interactions offering anymore. By providing this AI-powered feature together with our in-house knowledge, we can combine our users' domain expertise with our in-house thought leadership on how to run engaging and interactive interactions. So, I think I was kind of right of being excited. Thank you. I'm getting some hand signals over here, so I think we have 1 more minute to talk. And you guys get to decide what we talk about. I think I have a hunch what people will ask, and we prepared for that hunch. But I have been wrong before. Not often, but it has happened.
People want to know when it will be released. All right. We're releasing a beta starting in April, where you will be able to create your first Mentimeter draft just using AI. Who is it for? It's for all free and paid users of Mentimeter. And we will roll it out as a full 360 marketing campaign, all organic channels, and extra focus in Europe and North America. So stay tuned for more AI and more great interactive content. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Jakob. We'll be seeing more of this gentleman in a few moments. Remember, folks, we have the Q&A on. So let's just check. We have 8 questions so far. If you have any questions to any of our speakers, hop on in, get the QR code here, and join and ask away. Let's move on. This is a new segment we have here at Menti, and this is a bit of a meta segment, which I love. This is learning about learning the session. Please welcome to the stage, Lisa Vado! Wow.
Cool, welcome. I'm Lisa, just in case those of you who don't know me yet. I'm the culture and learning lead here at Mentimeter. I probably could spend a whole episode on what that meant, but also a little bit about myself. I'm born and raised in California. I'm a dog mama to that little angel named Brownie. You may see her running around the office. I totally take no offense that you say hi to her and never to me. I perfectly love it. And lastly, I'm an HR unconventionalist, and that means a lot of things, but the main thing is I like to do things differently and a little bit weird. So we're going to start out today's session with a Swedish lesson. Facket. Yeah, I know, right? It's kind of a word that's like, pardon me? But it is a Swedish word. And let's get into, what do you think facket means in Swedish? Is it a baby bird? Is it a curse word? Is it a labor union, or is it a tennis racket? And some people in our audience have a little bit of a leg up because you are fluent in Swedish, but hey, look what we're getting turned out. It sounds like a baby bird. That is pretty honest. Cool. So I'm just going to let a few more in, but as you can see, did it go? Yes, it means labor union. So congratulations to those of you who got it right. However, those of you who got it wrong, just you wait. You're actually seated for a deeper learning. But we'll get to that a little bit later. So much to your dismay, we are actually not going to learn more about Swedish labor unions today. It is a session on learning about learning. And more specifically, I'm going to talk about learning that lasts. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of story, how I got facket to equal labor union. So it was just like a Menti Listen Show as we have now, where Johnny was on stage presenting, and then he got some questions about fackets. And it was facket this, facket that, and as a native English speaker, not completely fluent in Swedish, I was like, this is pretty hilarious. I'm deducing it's something work-related, but I'm not really sure. So my attention really got caught during this session. And then I also got a bit of like a giggle because it's super hilarious in English. I mean, let's be real. And then, so the session ended, and eventually like I came to the deduction that it made labor union, and I kind of carried on my way. And in the evening, I finally came up with some like memory device where I was like, whoa, when shit goes down at work, fact, it's called the union. So I created something, I generated some sort of memory for myself in order to remember this. But you know what? This whole process isn't totally random. It actually is a process developed by the Neuro Leadership Institute called the AGES model. And the ages model means attention, generation, emotion, and spacing. So during that moment when I was learning what fact get really meant, I had my attention drawn because I was like, whoa, that is an inappropriate word. But it actually wasn't. And then I generated on my own later on, oh, okay, here's a connection. I took some different parts of my brain and came to an insight. Emotions, I found this funny as hell. And usually, in my opinion, when things are a bit more funnier, they tend to stay. And then spacing. It wasn't an immediate insight in my brain when I made this connection. It was later in the evening. I gave some space and time for me to kind of build it together. So, what does that actually mean for us at Menti? In what order do you think Mentimeter product helps with these elements? Attention, generation, emotion, and spacing. Come on, movement. Okay, cool. And nice. Okay, attention's getting up there. That's quite good. Generation, emotion. Let's see. Well, of course, saying I like to do things a little weird, it's actually all of them. So a bit of a trick question. So attention, as we can see, the way our product is built, is that you can build in these engaging slides. You can put in some sort of interaction that sort of breaks the attention when you are continuously speaking. And then emotion, we have some really great stuff in our product that it sometimes is a little bit novel, but it kind of catches you and it brings you a little bit of joy. And then generation, there is so much in every slide, and one in particular, open-ended, where you kind of have to think on your own and generate that insight or that opinion. And then spacing can be used in many different ways. We capture you in the beginning before the presentation starts, or we ask you a question during the presentation and revisit again later, or we have something at the post where you can give some sort of feedback. There's so many elements of Mentimeter product in which we capture this. Okay, I know you're thinking, why am I talking about this? Is it because we got an extra audience go around? And yes, that helps. However, it's more that we are actually doing this already in our product. This isn't something we just created last week for convenience. It's built into the DNA of Mentimeter. And this year, we really want to deepen that knowledge going forward. So not just some of us kind of understand this value of Mentimeter, but all of us understand it. And then even more important is it's a key initiative. And this key initiative is to integrate this type of foundational knowledge into our offering more explicitly so that our customers understand that Mentimeter isn't just an engagement product, but it's also one that really deepens long-last learning. Okay. So, what does facket mean in Swedish again? All right, let's keep that labor union going up. So, as you can see, if you got it wrong the first time and you now have it right, you have long-lasting learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. So good. Thank you so much. I find this so interesting. I just want to, like, if I could get all the product team at Mentimeter, everybody who builds the product, did you know that you're building like a neuroscientific product? Thumbs up. And if you didn't know that you're doing this, thumbs down. Can I just see what our product people, if they know about this? I'm getting some votes. Let me just see. I'm going to refresh that so we can get the count. Do we have some? There we go. Let's just see. Waiting for them. Yes, yes. Okay, yeah, I'm getting a signal here from the team. We don't. There we go. Okay, 73. Okay, 76 people knew this. 40 people did not. Well, now you know, and congratulations, product team. Let's move on to our next segment. It's time to talk about the power of togetherness. And to do this, please help me welcome to the stage Solveig Rudqvist!
Thank you. Thank you, Oscar. As he said, my name is Solveig. You can call me Sol for short if that's hard, because it's kind of an old-fashioned name. And I work in the marketing team here at Mentimeter, but I don't have a slide about me. Yeah, let's applause for that, actually. I like that. Marketing! Yes, but I do not even have a slide about me because I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to talk about this. And for Menti peeps, I know this is a little bit of a broken record moment. You're like, yeah, we know. We talk about it constantly. For those who don't know, yeah, we talk about it constantly. The power of togetherness for us at Mentimeter is really a core. It's not even a value. It's everything. It is one of our, core values. It's a way we work. It's part of our product, obviously, getting people to give input together and make better conclusions and better learning, as you saw, together. So it's our product, it's our culture, it's our ways of working internally, but actions speak louder than words, right? So we don't want this just to be a phrase. We think, what could we do if we worked more with the power of togetherness also externally? If we find our partners that are already doing amazing things with our platform and we work together with them. And that is why I'm super excited to announce our newest partnership with Mentimeter and Right to Succeed. And I think that we can do better than that round of applause. I know because I've been in these meetings and I've heard better, but I get it because I haven't told you what Right to Succeed is yet. So why are we doing this thing? Right to Succeed is actually a local charity here in Manchester and throughout the UK. What they do is support and coordinate efforts in deprived communities to give kids more opportunities for success. They have a focus on education and inclusion. We're sponsoring them with Mentimeter Pro licenses because they already use and love Mentimeter. How good is that? But to hear a little bit more about how and why we're doing this, how Right to Succeed works, and why this is a great match, I would love to welcome to the stage the Deputy CEO, Paul O'Neill. So, welcome, Paul. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm conscious of standing too close to these lights because that website pitch from about 10 years ago, you might not recognize it's me anymore, but hopefully there's still some resemblance. Yeah, thank you so much for having us here today. It's actually Right to Succeed's 9th birthday today, so... Yeah, so my role at Right to Succeed is Deputy CEO or Employee Number 2, as our founder CEO likes to refer to me. So it's not something that I want on my headstone, but I think it's done it in affection, but essentially means I've been around for a long time. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, I threw up your mission statement here, but I was wondering if you could tell us in your words, as co-founder, employee number 2, celebrating 9 years, what do you actually do in these communities?
Yeah, so Right to Succeed, we're a place-based collective impact charity, which if anybody has got a really accessible comms type acronym for that, it would be fantastic. So if everyone can have a think about that during the time here, that'd be great. But essentially what we do at Right to Succeed is we want to transform the lives of children and young people within the communities that we serve. As an organisation, we exclusively work with communities in the bottom 10% of the indices of multiple deprivation, and the vast majority of our work at the moment actually is in those in the bottom 5%. The way in which we work is in this place-based collective impact way, and I'll just talk about place-based and collective impact quite separately because it is a little bit of a mouthful. But essentially the premise of the place-based element is that the people in communities are best placed to help form sustainable solutions for their communities. Too often we think we have the solutions from afar, And people within these communities have been the subject of many different policy changes, interventions over time that have not worked, and these people feel tired. And actually, it's time we gave the power back to the communities for people to help drive sustainable change. So we firmly believe that that's the way in which you need to operate to have long-term success in these communities.
I think that's worth a round of applause, personally. I think this slide basically says what you just said, but is there anything else you want to highlight about collective impact or your way of working?
Yeah, so the second element on collective impact is that in the communities that we work in, there are just more urgent things that are more urgent. So whilst there's a really well-meaning effort around informal collaboration and people want to pull together because they're so passionate about changing the place, that collaboration breaks when pressure comes from outside and that gets dropped and people focus on the things that they're accountable to. Collective impact is a model that is of place-based change that's much more popular in places like North America, where in the UK, we're probably 15 to 20 years behind that in terms of having a national methodology of how we do this work. But essentially, it puts a really clear and robust framework around doing this, where areas work together to create a shared vision, a shared way of measuring success, activities that feel sequential and developmental, not complex and confusing. Everyone has an open and transparent communication. And then the final element is our role as a backbone organisation, where we come in as a catalyst to help support change, bring in fundraising, project management support, and the best evidence outside of what has worked, not necessarily what will work in those communities.
Thanks. That's a great answer. Yeah, let's do that. And hearing you talk about the ways you work, I already naturally feel like, oh, wow, that's a great fit for Mentimeter, which, that's why we're all here today. So I would love for you to explain a little bit how you guys use Mentimeter. We have a couple of examples, but yeah, how has it been helpful for you guys?
Yeah, so I can't say we've got as long a track record as Martin of using Mentimeter. So we're very much at that embryonic stage where we've only been using Mentimeter over the last 3 months. But we use Mentimeter as part of our discovery process. So before we go into any delivery project with an area, we do a 6 to 12 month piece of discovery process, which is basically looking at what are the assets in the area, what do the people want to do in the area, what are the key themes that they want to work on, and then help match that with the best available evidence and co-design a project and help fund that project that's going to be successful over the next sort of 3 to 5 to 10 years. So for us, Mentimeter has been an integral part of one of our newest projects, where we really need to do that in-depth community consultation. Historical ways of doing that have been on things, as you'll know, like flip chart papers and post-it notes and everything else. And that's all fantastic because it brings that interaction together. One of the challenges is in terms of the feedback loops are really slow. So by the time everything's written up and you pulled it all together and arranged another meeting, sometimes a month, 2 months, 3 months can pass and you lose that level of momentum that you really need. These communities have been waiting too long for change. They want it now and they're really passionate about it happening now. So for us, we've used Mentimeter with a number of schools and pupils in schools and done it both face-to-face and online. They've all been really happy with the product. Our team have reported back that the feedback's been excellent. So we're looking at how in future discovery processes we can start to embed that across all of our projects moving forward.
Yeah, I can't say it better than that. Hearing all of this, I feel just really warm and fuzzy because I'm like, that is just for me. I mean, seeing Mentimeter used that way in a way that makes a difference. And that's before we even got in touch with each other. So to hear that you guys are already using Mentimeter to make such a difference makes me just super, super happy. But as part of this partnership, of course, we have given you pro licenses and we are going to host trainings and make sure that you guys can really get the most of the additional features you have. But in addition, we think, okay, now we're getting together and working with the power of together, but we think, of course, all of us, if we work together, can do even more. So this part is not for the Menti peeps. You're not allowed. But for the externals who are with us today, we do have a request, which is that we think we can do even more. So in addition to our already existing sponsorship that we've started with Right to Succeed, after this event, if you're registered, which you are because you're here, you will get an email, and please open that email because you will find a link. And for every G2 review of Mentimeter, we will donate an additional $10 to Right to Succeed. So let's see how many we can get and make a huge impact.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
so much, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
For joining us. Happy birthday. Thank you so. And you heard that right. $10 for one review. By the way, that email is going to be packed with a bunch of juicy stuff, including this presentation itself. So if you felt inspired today, you'll be able to use that as well. It's time to move on to our first Q&A segment, and this will be around the meeting that we just had. But keep putting your questions in because we're going to get that bonus session in a moment. But help me welcome the speakers back to the stage. Yes, take a seat, take a seat, take a seat. Paul, you can hang around if you get something, yeah? But you can, yeah, sure, yeah, let's bring everybody in, yeah. All right, I am going to go ahead. Okay, we're gonna. We're having some. There we go. Finally, we have some questions. Thank you, Jimbo, for the technical music. Great. We're getting extra chairs. We realized we have so many guests here today. We forgot chairs for you, but now you're here. You have the questions there. The first one is to Martin. How would you suggest for someone to start using Mentimeter if they haven't done it before?
Right. So one of the things I said in the panel event earlier today is about learning curves and the difficulty of using things. And people go, "Oh, it's new. It's it's really difficult." But one of the real big selling points, of course, is that it increasingly as well is that it's intuitive, and you only need somebody at the elbow 2 minutes, even if you're nervous, to show you how to do it. I would say if you've never used it before, one slide, one really thoughtful interaction. Use the sliders or use the quadrant, something that really gets some exciting information, and then talk to your audience about what that means. We just saw the way that the sliders have been used in a completely different context to the one that I worked in, but it's so powerful to get those conversations started. And the other thing that I would say on that is don't insist that everybody engages. Give people the option. Let them lean over one another's shoulders. They may or may not have devices. Forget all of that. Invite them to participate and then watch the responses come.
And I will do that as well here. Invite everybody to participate. Thank you, Martin, for that. This is for our facket section. Will there still be? No, it's not. It's a question around AI. Will there still be a version without AI available for companies with security policies preventing the use of AI tools? Keep up the great work, Menti team. Woo!
Thank you, first of all, for that. Yes, if you are at a larger company with security requests, all AI features will be opt-in. If you are in a free account, they might be opted in automatically, but then you can always opt out.
Thank you, Jacob. And remember, folks, if you see a question that you like, you can open the Q&A and press a little thumbs up, and that will rank that question higher. As we have way more than we'll have time to answer. The next one here, can AI help improve the profanity filter? I'll be able to use open-ended in word cloud in my class if this was done, please.
I mean, with my track record of canceling product launches, maybe I shouldn't promise anything, but yes, definitely. I mean, we have a long list of things that we can do and improve at Mentimeter, so I'm super excited for it. And this is just one of many use cases that we're looking to. Yeah.
It's going to be like a continuous battle of who's the most creative, like the AI engineers or the first grade students in school, I think.
Yeah, it's a constant battle, yeah. Great. Next one, are you planning to develop a drop-in PDF and create interactive slides to complement the content from the PDF?
Maybe.
Maybe. I think it was interesting, Matti, you mentioned earlier, like all the shiny things with AI, but these feel pretty solid use cases, wouldn't you say? Yeah? If Matti says yes, we know it's good. I've recently learned about the impact of generational AI, generative, not generational. It's like in a few years. The carbon footprint of even silly Gen AI requests. What is Menti doing to combat this?
All of the AI you will be using in the product is opt-in. We don't send anything in the background. So you are in charge of if you would want to prompt things. And in general, at Menti, we do carbon offset all the things we do. So that's how you can combat it to some extent at least.
I can also share that this is a massive problem today, and usually massive models are used to do simple tasks. But we are also looking into how we can actually use specialized models that only use a fraction of the power in comparison to the giants. So we are also looking into this.
Thank you. Good questions today, folks. Keep them coming, please. Can you share an example where you felt the power of together when working with the communities? I think this is for Paul. This is a tricky one, maybe, but
No, honestly, every day.
Every day, yeah.
Feel so fortunate to do the work that we do at Right Succeed. The people in the communities that we work with are amazing and have been fighting that challenge and that battle of inequity year on year with not getting the kind of rewards that they deserve, but still trying to make a difference. So the power that the communities still want to come together, still want to kind of battle against things like where they've lost the primary industry, and tackle things like intergenerational poverty is really inspiring. So it'd be difficult to pick out one single example, to be honest.
Okay. So more examples that you can think of.
Yeah, I can give a specific example if that helps.
I think this is good for now. Yes, thank you, Paul. We have so many questions. I just want to move on. How do you moderate questions in these meetings? I forgot to mention this, we have in the audience up there, Harini, who was the panel discussion host earlier. She's taking all the questions and she's removing all the duplicates, and if we have any students trying to trick us. So this is done via our platform. This is available in the Pro account. Very simple, very intuitive, and it enables amazing Q&A sessions just like this. That was not rehearsed.
Can I say something about that, Oscar?
Yes, go ahead.
If you're trying this for the first time and you're leading a session, don't try and do it yourself if you're teaching at the same time.
Yes, very good.
Get somebody to come and give you a hand.
Yeah, that's the pro level. That's why we have Harini up there in her own booth, just dealing with the questions. Next one, which AI provider is used for the grouping? Will the content be shared with the AI provider?
The current version of the AI grouping runs on ChatGPT 3.5 through OpenAI. And that means the content will be shared with the AI provider, but you will always be able to either opt out or never opt into it. We are, of course, also looking into hosting our own AI models for things like this.
Yeah, a lot of interest here around the AI features, so plenty of food for thought for us here. Martin, what is your student thinking of you using Menti? Are they liking it or not?
Well, interestingly, one of the things that the cynics, the resistors, there was an earlier question about that in the discussion I had with Max. Is people say, oh God, we got saturation, students aren't interested in answering these questions anymore, and then they go off and they do a PowerPoint which is exactly the same as a billion other PowerPoints that students have been exposed to. I think that by and large people like things when there's a clear purpose behind it and it's not just decorative. Same goes for images on my slide, same goes for anything that comes out of my mouth, same goes for anything that I tell students that I want them to do. If it's purposeful and interesting, they love it.
Beautiful. Wow, yes. We have a few more minutes. Remember to upvote the questions you want to see. Here's the next one. Again, Martin, if you could choose between students being anonymous or verified in some way, what would you choose and why?
Okay, so this is quite a difficult question for me to answer because one of the things that I'm campaigning for is de-anonymization of students' assessments that they submit, because we need to get to know our students better so that we can iterate better, focus more on the process, not the product, all of that kind of stuff. But in Mentimeter, one of its key selling points is the very anonymity that it offers. I understand that the issues that some people have with the open text questions, but I already addressed that earlier. And actually the anonymity brings people in, gives people an opportunity to say what they actually think, say how they feel. And I think we need that kind of opportunity or technology in the spaces that we're working in, because it can really frame things, particularly in a polarized world where we've got a lot of really, really difficult controversial things happening right now. We can't ignore them. And this is one way that we can address it.
Thank you. Again, for Martin, this is a Q&A with Martin Compton, everybody. Did using Mentimeter increase students' engagement and their achievement?
So there have been studies done broadly on student response systems. I read a meta-analysis recently that showed that the effect on engagement and achievement was positive across a whole bunch of studies, not just in Mentimeter, but across a range of student response systems. From my own experience, it's 100%. It definitely increases students' engagement. Achievement, it's really difficult to measure because there are so many other variables. So if you want to say, show me the evidence, I haven't got it in my pocket, but the evidence of 30 years teaching, 10 years using Mentimeter, I'm pretty confident when I say that if you use it well, it does improve achievement as well.
Thank you, Matti. And I know we also have, applause, that's fine. Thank you. We also have, I don't know, Elin, if you're in the live stream, we also have a few blog posts, a few customer stories where they actually measured things like this. So check those out because it is measurable as well. To Right to Succeed, how do you use what you gather from users? Could Mentimeter help you analyze the data better?
Yeah, so in terms of how we use what we gather from users, that's really key, because I think, again, a lot of the communities that we work with, they're used to almost the hypodermic needle approach of drawing information out from them and then not really hearing any feedback or any change based on that information. So in terms of how we use it information to then co-design the delivery program that will happen in that area, and that information from the lived experience of those people within the areas is triangulated with the national data, the statutory data, all the data that the schools and different services collect to paint a real holistic picture of what are the key themes that they're going to be working on and tackling within that community-led project. Could Mentimeter help us analyze the data better? 100%. So as Martin will know and other colleagues, qualitative analysis is difficult, and Mentimeter, from what we've got so far from it, has produced some really high quality insights and results and helped to start even further conversations to dig deeper into some of the results to really get a sharp design in terms of that project that comes out at the end of it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Paul. We have one more question here for all our panelists, and that is, again, Martin, do you happen to use Menti outside the classroom with your colleagues? If so, what are the common applications?
I use it all the time. At UCL, when I was still there, we set up some Mentimeter templates so that it could be used for ongoing module review. One of the problems that we have in higher education is that you teach for a year, and then at the end of the year, you ask the students how it was, and they tell you it was a load of rubbish, but then any changes that you implement are no good for those students. So for ongoing, quick evaluation, we set up some templates, all done in Mentimeter. I know that's in classroom, but it's for evaluation. We use it for everything. We use it for conference events, we're using it to support the Q&A for some student keynotes at a forthcoming conference, for the evaluation of that conference, just whatever,
Whatever. It's more a lifestyle at this point, I guess. Yeah.
I'm changing my middle name.
I could keep going all day with this, but we do actually have another segment. So let's give the big hand to all the panelists and all the speakers today. Wonderful. Thank you so much for this. We are going to move on to our bonus, but I keep saying bonus because it's bonus session. And this is going to be a feature sneak peek. And we'll finally get to know if Jonni from Mentimeter is real. So please help me welcome maybe Jonni from Menti. Oh, he does exist. He does exist. There he is. It's real.
Oh my God. I exist. Oh my God.
You're real.
I know. Thank you. Thank you so much. I do exist. It's fascinating.
to exist.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I also got this question 10 years now, building Menti, if I exist or not. I want to maybe start to round this day off by thanking a few people. The panelists up here, so the external ones with Martin and Paul, thank you so much. We were also, let's start there. The live stream now, and people in this room didn't attend the panel discussion, but I want to thank the people there as well. Nurun, Chris, Gerhard, thank you so much. It was so invaluable to listening to your discussion there about AI. And that is kind of a peak of an internal work that we've been doing the last month, and that is also something to praise. So Sylvie, Matt, Nina, thank you so much for contributing to our understanding of this field in a much, much deeper way. So thank you so much. Thank you. And then finally, so people aren't in the room, we have hundreds of millions of students and teachers around the world using Menti and raving similar to Martin, or how it's changed their lives in teaching. And thank you to you, because without you, we couldn't be here. We couldn't get a salary of Menti. So thank you so much for everyone using Menti. Thank you again, thank you, thank you. It was funny that Martin mentioned that we used Menti for 10 years. Because I have worked with Menti for 9.5 years. And exactly 10 years ago, on almost the date, this was me. This was baby Johnny and one of our co-founders, Henrik. And we were visiting Imperial College in London. Not a relocation, but a trip. And it was just a couple of months before we actually embarked on the full-time journey of Menti. And we had, a couple of years earlier, we started Menti as a side project, and we had just started realizing that this could be a big thing. This could actually be something that we could go all in on, get a small investment, actually bet our career on it. And the insights from this trip, and the insight from many years before, where the Martins of the world have started using us, and together with all the events, including the one today, has really given us the confidence to go all in and bet our careers and build a company around something that can be huge someday, that can reach 1 billion people and really change the way that we listen to each other. So thank you so much for that, Martin, and everyone who supported us all the way to here. And I also want to say, this also shows the support of the educational field for Menti. If it wasn't for the feedback and the love and the support of this field, we wouldn't have built Menti. So that's also very good. So and also this was a good picture of our trip. When I asked Henrik this week to send me another one or a few others to choose, he sent this one as well. Look at the briefcase. The baby sales Johnny. Would you buy engagement tool from this guy? Sales was not booming back then, I would say. We're doing much better now. I can assure you. Okay, well, that's a good amount. So to round off, or to hand over to Jacob again, actually. So been reflecting on the last few months and the panel that we just had. And I want to kind of summarize that into some sort of promise, both from myself and to the users and customers of Menti going forward and in the educational sphere. That's 2 promises. And it's, first of all, we talked a lot about AI in there, but also one thing that was mentioned was the hybrid and remote work situation that is very, very current today. And in just the last 4 years, we've gone through 2 of the greatest technology shifts that the world had ever seen. And this is so fascinating because we as a company and a product and a technology provider, we need to stay ahead. Because we need, our promise to our customers, to our users, is that we are there as a partner to them in these technology shifts. And the only thing that I know is that this will not be the last technology shifts. So we're already great for remote and hybrid work. We have already implemented AI. We canceled one, but we will we'll back on that horse, as Stephanie talked about. So this is my promise to the community of Menti and all the external people here, that we will continue to be an innovative company, an innovative product that helps you, enable you in your work. So thank you. And lastly, just to very much round it off here. So we talked also here around student inclusivity, and as a product and as a service, I really want to promise, and Menti want to promise, that no matter if it's like students' financial ability, technology, maturity, or disability, that we should build a product that limits or lower that threshold. So no matter that background of that individual, that we provide a service that we that student and those teachers really deserve. So that's the last promise. And then I want to welcome up Jacob again to talk about the future of our products. Thank you very much.
Hello, you know me by now. Cool. So this is a higher education special Menti Listen Show, and we have a lot of VIP guests here from all over education, and we have a lot of people listening in remote, super curious about how can you use Mentimeter in an educational setting. So we'll talk a little bit about that, because we spend a lot of time talking to our users and our teachers and the students, and try to understand what are the core challenges and how can our product help that. So let's look at product stuff. Yes. So we can support you to capture attention, create a dialogue, gauge understanding, and gather feedback. These are 4 topics that we've identified when talking to teachers and educators and researchers, that these are super essential in order to improve learning. And today we're going to look at how you can achieve this with some of our current features. And we'll also take a little sneak peek into what's cooking in terms of new features that no one outside this room has seen yet. So you're in for some special treats. But let's start with some examples and inspiration. How to capture student attention. Lisa talked about it earlier. Attention is super key in knowledge retention. And if you are talking about a subject, regardless if it's education or not, you do want the people listening to lean in, right? To engage with the content and really be on their toes. And we believe it's really easy to do that with Mentimeter. And this works not only for education in like a teaching setting, but it works equally well for education like learning and development and corporate settings. A great way to do this is a question type called pin on image. So here's a question for you. Where is the talus bone located in a foot? Drop your pin and we'll see how much you know about feet. I have votes coming in slowly. I can show you where the correct area is. There it is. Most people had absolutely no clue. But this is a great way to, regardless of what you're talking about, just draw the attention to the subject, make them kind of lean in a little bit and participate more actively. We know that's a key in retaining the knowledge. Next up is create a dialogue and understand the knowledge levels, because we know that like student bodies become more and more diverse, and people have very varying needs, like how do they like to learn, and how can we cater for that, and how can we spark discussions. And maybe the most simple application of that is just a simple multiple choice. In this case, what is your first language? Partly because I'm curious to get to know you a bit more, but also if I'm doing a lecture in English and none of your first language is English, that might help me cater my message a little bit to the audience I'm talking to. Mostly English and Swedish, interesting. Let's follow up with like a deeper question on the same topic. How many languages do you speak? And you notice here, this question is segmented with what you answered on the previous question, where we can see that others speak a lot of different languages, and English speakers are definitely dominant in I speak one language. It's fairly expected, right, and natural. But it gives you really good insight to your audience. You make them feel included, and this can definitely spark some interesting discussions about, for example, diversity or inclusion. It's a great use case of using Mentimeter. You can also ask them more open-ended questions. We heard about the potential downsides of open-ended questions. I'm going to trust you right now and have you put in what is your main takeaway from this session so far. Right, bucket. Johnny is real. Johnny exists. Johnny is real. Johnny made a great impression, apparently. Cool. If you do this in a larger setting like this, you can get overwhelmed by the amount of replies, right? And that's why we have the little AI button down here where it says press space to group responses. And if I do that, the AI starts sorting the circles from the squares. And once it's done, it will give me the different topics or the different buckets of all the feedback you gave me. Where surprisingly enough, bucket is the biggest takeaway from today's session. Martin's second one, Mentimeter is the third one, and Johnny is the fourth one. And you can go through all of them. You can actually go into them and you can rearrange some of the grouping if you don't want to. It's super, super powerful, and it gives like an extra edge to using Mentimeter in settings where open-ended just like wouldn't make sense. So it's a great use if you haven't tried it yet. Next up is gauge understanding with formative assessments, because formative assessments can be really hard and can be scary, and it can be very different to make all voices heard, but Mentimeter does that in a great way. You've already tried it today, but this is the ranking question, where you could be asking, like, which part of the thesis do you find the most challenging to write? Let's say you're holding a course about writing thesis. Having students rank what they think is the most difficult is a great way for you to form your content more around that part and make the student experience better. I'm not going to talk to you about methodology regardless of how you rank it, but it's a great way of like on the fly adapt and make your teaching much more relevant, because I can assure you that every time you run the same lecture, you're not going to have exactly the same group of people or their needs. You can even challenge them more. This question type is called 100 points. So you're all now being given 100 points to distribute across 3 different topics. One question could be like, what would you like to see more of in your learning experience? Guest lectures, group discussions, or self-paced studies? It's also a great way to make students a little bit more in charge of their own learning experience. And of course, you can apply all different types of questions, like more specific topic questions, and see if they really understand how they should be distributing things. And gather feedback to improve as an educator. Feedback is great. Feedback can be scary. Typically, Mentimeter makes it less scary to gather feedback because it's colorful and nice. But it's definitely important. And there's always those like end of term student surveys. They're great, but they don't happen very often by definition, right? Since it's end of term. And they're especially not connected to the moments of teaching where you maybe want to get your feedback. So a great way to do it is to, why not just run like at the end of each lecture? How was the lecture today? Maybe it's a scales question, that's Martin's favorite. Like, I learned something new, the lecture was well organized, and I had the opportunity to ask questions. I do this sometimes in meetings. We're not in an educational setting, but just add this as a last slide to kind of give myself some feedback. Was this a good session or not? And you can see here I hid the responses. It can be great because you don't want to like bias other people answering. It can also be good to not be super obvious with the fact that no one learned anything during your session. So you can save those insights for later if you want. And if you do this often, there's a nice trick where if you ask the same question, you can bring up the trends question and see the trend feature and see how has it progressed over time. Like, which was your best session, or have you improved with this lecture over time? Super powerful. And the last example is, hold on, I'm just going to go back and hide the trends. There we go. To use Q&A. It can be scary to have the students ask you questions rather than you asking them questions, but Mentimeter is all about that dialogue, and it's super powerful to let go both ways. You can do it before your session to set the expectations and prepare accordingly, know how much people know about the subject. During the session, can have people answer questions. Maybe you want to clarify something. That's what we've been doing here. We've been having the Q&A open during the presentation. And you can just press Q and get to the questions whenever. And you can also, of course, send out questions as an asynchronous survey after your session and get questions from your students that you can respond to at a later date. Those are our top features of current existing functionality to use in a student setting. But is anyone curious to peek over the fence and see what's next? Yes. Boom. We have some few sneak peeks for you, a selection of what is coming fairly soon. We'll talk about something called desktop mode. We'll talk a little bit about start with AI in an educational setting. We'll look at what interactive canvas means, and we'll have a look at post-session analytics. But let's start with desktop mode. This is something we will be launching very shortly. You know, normally when you do a Mentimeter session, you join on your phone, and then you get the kind of voting interface that is to your right. Or if you have your students join by the computer, they get the same interface, just drawn out very much. But we're actually putting the voting interface next to the presentation if you are on a computer, meaning that you don't have to screen share your Mentimeter presentation, because everyone will have a live copy of the actual presentation on their desktop computer. And it also means that you wouldn't theoretically even need a projector in the room if you're maybe in a smaller setting and everyone is on their computer. Everyone will get a live updated view of the actual presentation. Can be a great way to reduce cell phone use within student settings. It's coming very soon. And next up, yes. And next step is start with AI. You just heard about it, but this is great for an educational setting as well. Theoretically, you could ask it, like, give me a quiz about the French Revolution, or create a workshop on how to talk about psychological safety. And it will give you a nice set of slides complete with Mentimeter interactions that are suitable for that occasion with good examples and answer options. It's never going to be 100% correct, but it's always going to give you a very, very good starting point, meaning that you will never, ever have to start from scratch with that awkward blank screen and not knowing what to type first. This will give you both the content and appropriate Mentimeter interactions for that kind of setting. So I challenge you to try it out once it's live in April. It's going to be great. Yes. You know, when you create a Mentimeter presentation and you have the sidebar to the right where you type your questions and your answers and you fill out all the content? We are bringing that more to the actual content itself, so you can create your questions and your answer options directly in your slide. Finally, someone said, yes, it's coming. I can't tell you when, but it's fairly soon, and it's great. It's going to make the threshold to use Mentimeter even lower. Last but not least, let's talk about post-analytics. So this is a word cloud that someone used. It's great. It can spark a lot of discussions in the moment, but if you want to look more deeply into the results of this afterwards, it can be a bit different to know what's what and how popular were the different submissions here. So we're giving you some tools now to look into the data, and afterwards, this is the exact same word cloud, but broken down more statistically of what people submitted, so you can at your own time understand more of your students' responses. We're also bringing this to the quiz functionality, meaning that you can, after your quiz, go through question by question and see which ones that were the easy or the hard questions. In this case, it is a medium question based on what share of users that got the answers right. So giving you more understanding of what you just did in Mentimeter at your own pace afterwards. Those are some things all coming within a couple of weeks or a couple of months. They are not all the things being developed, but the things that we are comfortable enough to share with you right now. And you're the first people to see them. That's it from the sneak peek. Thank you very much. And let's bring Oscar back up again.
Thank you, Jacob. What a session. You can stay right there. Thank you. And we're going to bring Johnny back up if he's still here. Or did he vanish into thin air? No, there he is, Johnny. Maybe we could bring some chairs for the gentlemen as well so they could have a seat. We are going to go into the final Q&A. This will be a bit more around the product and what we just saw here from Johnny and Jacob. So remember, keep those upvotes happening. And you two have the questions there, if you can see it. The first one is, how do you link questions? For example, you asked us if we were educators at the beginning, and then you could see what percentages of each group gave responses.
Yeah, it's one of our most powerful and least known features. Yeah. It's called segmentation. You can set it up when you create your Menti. Like if you start a multiple choice question, if you scroll all the way down to the right-hand pane, it gives you a question to segment it. And then you select one of your other questions you have. But you can also doing it in the live moment with the kind of hover menu that you get. So let's see if Oscar can bring up a multiple choice question. There it is. And there you have it, segmentation. You can pick any of the other questions we have asked today and use that as a basis for your segmentation in the live moment. It's going to impress people, I promise.
And as I mentioned earlier, if you're watching the live stream, you'll be getting an email with a link to this exact presentation. So you can play around with it and look at the results. Next question is AI grouping function. Is it possible to group answers after the Menti has been closed?
Yes.
Thank you. I pay for Menti out of my own pocket. Educational products are very expensive. Are there any plans for free or deeply discounted plans for those who can prove they are working in education?
We have an educational discount already on both basic and pro plans. So that exists. It's a good discount.
Yes. I think is it 30 or 40%?
30 or 40% is roughly there.
Yeah. Special price for you, teachers.
And also what I talked about before is that we try to design our business model. So yes, we need to make money to invest in our product and offering, but we also design it in a way that we give a lot away for free. Like I think today's 98% of the users of Menti are free. So they don't even have to pay for it. So.
Yeah. Most of the value with the product can be achieved on the free plan, which is by design to make it more accessible.
Yes. What accessibility features developments do you have planned for Menti? Is Lasse here? I almost want to bring him up. I don't know, maybe not. Do you have anything in the pipeline that we can talk about today?
We do improvements continuously. We've focused a lot about like readability and contrast lately and going over things so that everything is accessible through a screen reader. Yeah. The ranking question type, for example, that's one of our most recent changes where we changed the voting interface to a slightly different design because the ones we had with drop-downs wasn't possible to do with a screen reader. So we actually have a whole team working on the design system, which is like the centralized components that make up all the product. And we have a dedicated accessibility expert only working on this and also teaching all the designers at the company how to make things more accessible. It's super vital to us.
Yes. Thank you. Are there any plans to add music to slides outside of the quiz slides? It would be helpful when using Mentimeter in meetings and waiting for people to answer with open-ended and scales. Unless you have an in-house DJ, Jimbo, this is hard, yes. Do we have any plans here?
No, not currently. We have music for the quiz question types. There's roughly 2 people who like it. One of them is on the stage. That's why we keep it. We currently don't have any plans to add music to normal slides, no.
No, thank you. If the AI feature will be turned on automatically and require an opt-out, will users be notified that the feature is now active?
It's not for all accounts. It will be automatically opted in. and I'm not 100% sure of what the flow looks like right now, but it's something we definitely want users to be aware of, and all of the things that are sent to an AI require an explicit action. So there's nothing being processed in the background of what you do.
Thank you. And reminder again, we have a few more minutes for Q&A, but if you want to see a question to be answered, use the thumbs up and get those upvotes in. Hello. Is there a way to make sure each participant only replies once? For example, for attendance registration.
We can make sure that you can only reply once per device and unique browser ID. So theoretically, if they would open another browser, they would be treated as an other voter. And that's something that's not easily restrictable by us. So if you want 100% foolproof, it's going to be difficult. But if you just want to make sure that people don't reply several times, you can flip the switch here.
Yeah, let's actually move to the Q&A part so we have that up. Do you need to speak Swedish to join your team?
Absolutely not. I think less than half of people speak Swedish at Menti.
Yes.
So we're 55 nationalities. Yeah, we're based in Toronto, Stockholm, and Sydney. So you don't even have to be in Stockholm, actually. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mentimeter.com/jobs.
You need to exist, though, I guess.
You need to exist. No AI hire yet. So.
Mentimeter.com/jobs, as Johnny said. Do you have plans to make the results more easily segmented and actionable between presentations, dashboards, etc.?
Yes. What happens after your Mentimeter presentation with the data you gathered is very important to us, and we're always looking into how we can make more value out of those things. I have nothing concrete to share right now, but yes, we're looking into it. Boring corporate answer, but that's yeah, we're looking into it. We also think it's important and very powerful.
We answered this. As an avid user of the Menti multiple choice slide as a graded scale from 1 to 8, I would like to see a quick average calculation if possible. That would be very helpful.
Yes. I would encourage you to use the scales question type if you're doing numerical answer options, because it's a slider between those options and it automatically gives you the average. The multiple choice question type can theoretically contain any options, and then it doesn't make sense to average out English and Swedish as a mean.
Yes, and as you mentioned, here's the scale slide. If I hover over here, I can actually see the distribution. So try this one out next time. As an avid, we already answered that one. Hello. Is there a way to make sure, we already answered this as well. Let me just press enter. Can you say something about your plans for background authenticated voting possibilities?
As you know, like Mentimeter today is fully anonymous, and we think that is it's definitely by design, and we think that is the core of the product, and always being anonymous opens up a lot of the beautiful use cases we heard of today. Of course, we're also looking into what kind of features could we provide if we knew who the respondents are. We're looking into that, but even if we would build such a thing where you actually identify yourself maybe by your student email or so, the core functionality of the product would still be anonymous, because we think that is the most essential thing with the thing we want to achieve with more openness and transparency. We're looking into it. Boring answer again.
Yeah, we're looking into it, yeah. Yes. Mentimeter, do you have plans to facilitate great integration of video into presentations?
We do integrate with YouTube. We recently started integrating with Vimeo, and there might be new plans coming up as well, other video sources. Let us know which one you would prefer.
Yes. So we have Vimeo and YouTube at the moment. We didn't demo this today, but it is a possibility for sure. Is there an option to upload more pictures on a slide rather than one?
No.
No. I guess you could technically add a background image here.
Or you could, and you could like upload a collage of images that you made yourself. But as Martin talked about earlier today, it's really, really hard to create an ugly or uncohesive Mentimeter slide, which we think is very important for like information integrity and also accessibility. That being said, have we looked into the possibility of uploading more questions than one? Yes, we have. But right now it's one, and we think it's beautifully simple.
Let's make it count. One more question before I'm going to kick you off stage. Another segmentation. How can I show it?
We already showed it. Yeah.
I think we already showed it. Let's do one more for fun. When viewing results, is there a way to see who answered what on specific question without exporting the results to Excel?
No. No?
No?
It's anonymous.
Thank you, Jacob and Johnny, and to all of our speakers. This has been an amazing show here today. And thank you to all the Menti people who joined. Wonderful, wonderful. I want to give a big shout out to the production team who's done an amazing job and all the people in the room. Thank you. Mwah, 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 mwah. See you in 2 weeks.